Okay, this is now I know what needs to be done. This is my third go, students. My good managerial students from my Chinese university that I'm doing a survey for. Trying to keep this under 20 minutes. I believe that's the target to upload to YouTube. So I'm speaking a little faster. However, you'll have the benefit of the closed captioning in English, since many foreign students can read better than they can obviously their fluency in the other language. So, all right, this is an overview and synopsis of Laurie J. Mullins, Management and Organizational Behavior. I am Cliff Tom, and today is Wednesday, the 24th of November, 2021. So this is my current take. Again, this might be this might be outdated within a day. Who knows, right? Because management and organizational behavior changes drastically. So I've got 7 slides, so that's about about 2 minutes, 3 minutes each. So my name is Cliff Tom. This is Laurie J. Mullins, Management and Organizational Behavior. This is my second installment for my good students, Chapter 8, Working in Groups and Teams. So let's just head off right away. So the learning outcomes after completing this chapter, everyone should have read this hopefully by now in order to complete your team assignments. Hence, that's why I gave you team assignments, because we all work in teams because of the advent of technology. It is very important to have teams direct to the best of the company's benefit. Okay, so should have enhanced your ability to, again, let's jump laser pointer. That's what I normally would have used in the classroom. So again, students, these are bullets. So if it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, that would go by order of importance, or if it's the alphabet, A, B, C, D. So explain the nature and significance of work groups and teams. Okay, that's self-explanatory. They're very important. And relate the nature of informal versus formal groups and importance of group values and norms. Number 3, examine factors that influence group cohesiveness. Cohesiveness means come together, and how ultimately they perform. Number 4, identify characteristics of an effective work group and virtual teams. Right, now, virtual also means online or remote. You could also use that, remote teams. So what makes for an effective work group? Number 5, explain role structure of the organization and individual role relationships. So explain the structure, like what is expected, or what is the organization about, and then what are the individual roles, and subsequently then what are the team roles? How do you maximize employee work? Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6, evaluate the individual. Evaluate the individual. That's better English. Compared with group or team performance. So again, this at the end of this PowerPoint too. Some individuals work great together or work perfectly by themselves, benefiting the organization or the entity. And then work horribly in a team atmosphere, and vice versa. Some can work in a team but then underperform in a solo role. And number 7, review the importance and characteristics of successful groups or teams, right? To know how they work and how they successfully work is a benefit, is highly important, and also know what's wrong and then be able to fix it. That's your responsibility as a manager. Okay, number 3. So again, this is Figure 8.1, differences between a team and a group. And this is a source. So if you're writing a book, especially a book for money, you definitely want to give credit to where you took it from. If you didn't give credit, you stole it from them, which could land you in trouble. Right, okay. So a team, the size is limited, meaning it's smaller in size versus a group. It can be medium or large. So I had just stated this before being wiped out. A group, let's take a look at countries now, right? They're groups of people. So the selection can be crucial because they're smaller in size, so you want to make them really effective. In a country, it could be 1 million, 20 million, 40 million people. So it's immaterial because you're not going to maybe get to know everyone. Definitely within a country, you're not going to be able to. And leadership, it's shared or rotating. So there's one leader. It's so small that you want to change roles because sometimes they can be alienating if it's just one. So you want to share the responsibility of leadership. That's what I'm hoping that my students do within their teams. I know some are just born leaders and they just want to take on that role. But hopefully, you guys are all assuming that role because as a manager, you will be a leader, a leader. So it is your responsibility to learn how to best become a leader. So hopefully, you're doing that within this class and your other business classes. Within a group setting, a solo. Generally, within a country, let's use that metaphor or comparison. Definitely within a country, there's one leader and everybody follows her or him. And then perception, mutual knowledge or understanding versus focus on one leader, as we just stated. Style, role spread, coordination, right? So spread it throughout. Everybody assumes different roles. Everyone should be able, so if one person's sick in an effective unit or team, to take on that role and responsibility and drive accordingly, okay? Convergence, conformism, right? You want ultimately in a group, you want everybody on the same page is a phrase, it's a term, business term, to be on the same page, meaning driven by one single goal or one single mission. Okay, the spirit, right? The qi in Chinese, your energy. So dynamic interaction, you know everybody and you know their roles, you know maybe their social status, and you're comfortable with it and you want them as intimate and dynamic as possible, as opposed to togetherness, persecution of opponents, right? So if you're the conformity, the conformism of it, that you shun everybody that's not like yourself, that is like a weakness, right? Or a benefit, depends how you look at it. All right, let's go on to 4. And hopefully I saved this, otherwise I'll be extremely perturbed, angered. Okay, so again, you see, students, how this is in the middle. So these entities are coming into it, these boxes, this information. So group cohesiveness and performance. And again, this is figure 8.4 in Dr. Mullins' book. So membership, size of the group, compatibility of members, performance of group members, thrusted in here. Work environment, nature of the task, knowing what it is, right? That is all important to know your role and responsibility and what it is that you're doing. Physical setting, to know your environment, and communications and technology. Let's jump down here. Again, you need to know if you're giving a presentation or consulting to a foreign entity. In general, in the West, we read left to right. In some Asian countries, they read vertically or right to left. It doesn't matter because one character can mean many things. And if you're going to the Middle East, you formulate maybe right to left. So how to best communicate your proposal or your sales pitch to your audience is important. Okay, so here we go. Let's go left to right, right? So left to right. You know, I've been teaching in Asia a very long time. So organizational management and leadership. HR means human resources, policies, and procedures. Success, external threat. All right, so these are all bullets. Not one is bigger than the other, but they're all part of organizations or organizational. And then jumping to group development and maturity. Forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. As I had said before, but it got wiped out. This you will know, especially if you go into your Master's of Business Administration or Administrative Masters, you'll learn a lot about this, as well as what we learned in the last synopsis or last chapter about Maslow's, sorry, I mispronounced that last time too. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very important to know what people really want out of life. Okay, so let's go into slide 5. I've talked so much already today, but hopefully this will be safe. All right, slide 5. Role expectations. Again, these are all being led down or up or side to side into the actual patterns of a person, right, and their behaviors. So role expectations. Formal, informal, self-established. Formal has another offshoot, so role incongruence, meaning not together, right? In a formal, you want them generally together, so that's not sure why that is included, however. So jumping down to expected patterns of behavior that leads to a person, and these are coming from the sides into her or him. Role perception, role motivation, role capability, role sanctions, team roles, role and interactions, and then role conflict coming from above, Role incompatibility, meaning they're not together. Role ambiguity, meaning you don't know what the heck is going on, in other words, within the organization. So these are all role conflicts. This is your duty as a manager to understand these, and to smooth these out, to better these, in order for the employee to be a better worker. Okay, role overload, role underload in a matrix organization. Okay, I think maybe I've spoken too fast this go around, so maybe under 15 minutes, which isn't bad because we only have 2 more slides. So at least hopefully I can upload it to YouTube, and then you can close caption it, because I know I'm speaking very fast in my Central American English here. Okay, slide 6. Okay, these are Belbin's Evolve 19 roles. I've actually spoken about the last 2 slides now 3 times because of being deleted. But okay, a plant is the actual structure of where you're. I don't know why she used plant. Can mean a flower, right, or a horticulture, but it's generally where you do your place of business, a brick and mortar, the factory, right, in many parts of the world, the factory that you're doing business in. So these are the benefits of it, and then the allowable weaknesses. Even though ultimately you want perfection in any work environment, it's impossible to achieve, but you want to know the weaknesses, right? And this is why you chart them out in your managerial or executive meetings, to how best run your teams in your organization. So these are just some of the roles. Again, I've said this now twice. I'm always in admiration. I always like when new entities have new words for employees and roles within the organization. Who would have ever dreamt or ever dreamed that we would have online influencers? Because we never had online for time immemorial, right? For millennia. That now it's just recently you're an influencer that markets and makes money just broadcasting on the internet. I mean, it was advertising on TV, but hopefully you get my point. So some of these words: coordinator, shaper, monitor, evaluator, team worker, implementer, completer, finisher, specialist. Now these could all take a different meaning, okay? But again, these are some of the contributions or roles and descriptions, allowable weaknesses. So I think Belvin is a he, trying to be kind and saying that nothing's perfect, but to know what can go wrong, but is still functioning within an entity. Okay, now I can take my time, hopefully, and go through the 10 key points to remember in the next slide. So again, these are ER-san for my Chinese students, 1, 2, 3. So number 1 would be obviously of greater importance. That's what I believe Dr. Mullins is driving at, to know number 1 is the most important, followed by the remaining 9. Okay, so groups are characteristic of all social situations. Yes, we also say birds of a feather flock together. In general, if you're at any meeting, especially an international meeting, you feel more comfortable speaking your native language, so you're going to gravitate towards that person. Maybe you're more comfortable in a social situation speaking to your own gender, etc., etc. However, again, in today's day and age, especially in the West, it's almost a forced diversity of groups. Otherwise, the government doesn't protect you, and you can go and get into legal trouble, meaning you must hire one African American, one black, one white, one pink, one purple, right, et cetera, et cetera. That might get me in trouble stating that, but that's basically where we've come down to in the West, in many parts of the West, Europe, et cetera, et cetera. Whether that's good or bad, we'll wait and find out. It's the experiment like everything else. All right, number 2, the term groups and teams are generally interchangeable, meaning they are the same. I could have told you guys to work in groups, but I chose teams because you're going to hear that a lot, especially if you work for a conglomerate or a multinational, where it will generally be, even though today's day and age, you might work for Alibaba, which is a Chinese-based company, right? That's multinational. But generally it's going to be maybe in English, even if it's Alibaba, they want an English division, right? So if you get really good in your English, then you can understand the differences between groups and teamwork. more so, right? So whereas teams are groups, it's not necessarily follow that all groups are teams. That's true, right? I always say, and I don't believe I've said it this go around now, my third time, I always use odd number of teams because if you come into conflict, then you can ultimately vote and just be satisfied with that vote. So the odd number and the majority will always win to go in that direction. Okay, number three, formal groups are concerned with coordination of work activities within the formal structure. Informal groups develop to satisfy psychological and social needs. Okay, formal versus informal. Formal groups are hired specifically by the entity or the firm to go in a particular way. Okay, informal groups may be just at a presentation. You're a rather informal group, my students, my good teams, because we're not. It's a classroom structure. However, if you're hired for a larger company or for any company, for that matter, it's going to be a formal group with a specific purpose that's serious, right? To either make money or drive the organization in a particular way. All right, let's try to 4 more minutes for 6 more slides. The manager, that should be you one day because you're all in university and may continue further on with your MBA. The manager's main concern is that members work together, of course, united together, meaning together, cohesive together, another word for together, supportive relationships, and to prevent unconstructive intergroup conflict. Obviously, you want to all get along. You don't want to disagree, although disagreement is what can drive success too. If you hear other opinions, that's another benefit of team and group work is to have different opinions. Okay, number 5, continuing globalization developments in ICT. I didn't read the book, the chapter. I'm so sorry. I have previously. I like the book, but I'm not abreast. So ICT, I'm uncertain. But obviously, today and age in today's environment, especially the last 2 years with virus, border, and local lockdowns, we've all been forced to work remotely. Hence, I'm doing this, and I'm instructing you remotely. It's been a good thing, but obviously, we're also looking to have the borders closed down so we can continue face to face and become more globalized. Okay, members are geographically separated, of course, and the 3 terms are virtual, remote, or online. You'll hear that. Number 6, the role structure of organization interactions among members and individual team roles are important to an understanding of group processes and behavior. Yes, in other words, I think several of these are very similar. As a manager, your duty, your responsibility is to know your team, how they best function, when they don't function, and how to drive and compel them to be better and to go down the path of productivity for your company. Number 7, okay, we have 2 minutes. In order to understand and influence the working of groups, it is necessary to understand patterns of interactions and parts played by individual members. Yes, you need to know what they do, when they do it. I'm not a big fan, no one is, I think, of micromanagement. If you're being told what to do every day and the manager is just looming over you, that does not breed productivity. Some people enjoy it. Again, you need to know your employees individually as well as how they best work in a group setting. Okay, number 8, working in groups would appear to offer advantages to performance, but it is difficult to draw any firm conclusion from comparison with individual performance. Yes, as we said, I think I said in this recent iteration, right, is that one person can work phenomenally well by himself, but not in a group setting, and vice versa. Okay, and there's a ways and means. Like maybe you're just insurance salesman or real estate, and or car sales. You don't want 4 or 5 people selling one person car. That never works out well. You feel like you're being bombarded, and the same in insurance too. So you need to know your audience. That is key in what product or service that you're selling. All right, 9. The 9th, let's get it under the minute. Come on, Cliff. The growth of teamwork has led to increased interest and attention to social skills. Yes. So this is actually a deterrent now in our online world that we're not getting along as best as possible. So there's a combination. You want to have social skills and be able to get along with everybody, right, and understand their opinion. Competencies and leadership in order to build and develop effective teams. That is so true. All right, 10. And then I believe, students, I know you can't see it. I just hit the stop button. Come on, Cliff. Learn and adapt. All right, number 10, how to behave and perform as members of a group is important. It is vital as our actions as individuals. Yes, continue. continue to develop and improve is a necessary part of effective teamwork. Of course, you want to have the benefit of your organization and provide team groups and activities. All right, I'm signing off. Hopefully, I'm saving this. All right. Sai Jen Shui Sheng. Goodbye, my students. Bye bye.